going to be going over the winners finals set from Red Bull Nationals versus JimmyJTran, Brian versus Jack. This is the first set of 3 sets that we'll play total in this tournament. So we're gonna get started. First question is, how confident were you feeling going into the match? Any nerves? If I recall correctly, I had a very strong mindset going into winners finals. I felt very confident. I had a clear game plan of how I wanted to play it. This was based on past encounters I've had with Jimmy. Played him many times in tournament, but was never successful in taking a set off of him. There were a lot of adjustments I felt I had to make, but I was generally just excited, as usual, for the opportunity to play against one of the best in the world. So I was asked to identify a very critical moment in the set, a moment where I either claimed a lot of momentum or just made a very big play that would ultimately propel me toward winning the set. So I chose Game 5, Round 3. I think there's actually a lot to talk about in a short amount of time. So I'll try to give a little bit of context. Brian's offense in this matchup, it's going to be very jab-centric. That's because just landing a single jab is going to get him +8. And that means he can do single jab into 3+4 or single jab into forward 3. I can't step out of those options because I'm so big. If I hit any buttons, I'm gonna get counter hit launched. If you get counter hit launched by Jimmy on a wall stage, you're probably dead. The first round of this game, Jimmy tried to kill me with, or not kill me, but set up a game-winning position with down 3+4. I low parried him out of that. And then the subsequent round, he killed me with down 3+4 2. So those things are important to remember, and then I'll mention a few more things as this round unfolds until it reaches critical mass, and then the pivotal moment occurs. So let's take a look here. So Jimmy's going to start off very aggressive with 1-2-1, and then he's going to scout a low immediately, which looks kind of inconsequential. He just blocked a safe low. Nothing really happens. But this is the start of something very interesting about Jimmy that I want to mention. So he scouted a low. He blocked it. Okay, so now he's going to come in. He's going to do that jab. It hits into forward 3. That's what I mentioned before. Fortunately, I blocked. Thank God. Okay, and now, so he scouted a low at the beginning, and then he's going to try to scout a low again. So he's persistent, but a little miscalculation, he gets jabbed out of it. I'm gonna take him to the wall, start some wall pressure, and he's still persistent. He gets a low parry to get out. So he's just tried to scout 3 lows. 1 successful, 1 not successful, and then he sticks with it and he gets another one. So this low parry is going to claim a lot of momentum back. It looks like it's going to be an awkward wall combo, but he converts, gets a good amount of damage into Oki. And here's where I'm talking about the down 3+4. He's represented it twice already this game, and now he's going to do it again, but he's going to modify it. Very, very smart. He's going to do down 3+4, 2 into the cancel, and that's going to mess me up. I'm going to be like, what is that? And I eat the full crouch down forward 4. So now he's got a decent life lead, and he's going back to home base, which is the jabbies, right? Sticking the jabs out. And so I'm going to catch on to this, and I'm going to try to duck. I want to duck a jab. And I try it, and I get hit. So now I get counter hit, trying to duck that jab. He takes his plus frames, goes for low soccer. And then there's going to be a bit of a scramble right here. Jimmy is eager to kill. And so after the low soccer, he's going to check me with a down back 2. I'm going to check him with a down forward 4, and he's going to make the error of trying to immediately check again. Down forward 4 is only -4 on block, so I'm going to backdash and get a huge launch right here. This is going to take off so much life.
He's very close to the wall.
And so now I'm thinking he's going to live. He's going to live with a pixel. I know it. He just doesn't die. This guy just doesn't die. And so I'm watching the life go, and sure enough, he doesn't die. He's got 1 pixel. I'm going to go for kind of an interesting option here. Jack, maybe not known by the masses for his move variety, but I try to mix it up every once in a while. I like this poke decision right here. I go for a run up back 3, and it doesn't work. Maybe this is in my head, but I like to think the back three was kind of like a what moment for Jimmy. Like, he did back three, weird choice, and maybe just changed his decision making in my favor. I don't know, but he's gonna poke back with down two, and then I'm gonna close out, catch him sidewalking, and that's just a really huge round. Definitely propelled me toward winning the set. But the reason I wanted to break it down so thoroughly is there's instances of heavy persistence from Jimmy right there. Persistence at scouting lows, even when he fails, keeps going for it. His strategy of controlling with the jab, even though I've shown an ability to stop it, he knows how good it is, knows how reliable it is, so he sticks with it. The down 3+4 throughout this game, so even if I stopped it once, he knows he has other options off the down 3+4 that he can mix me up with. Persistence, and though I get this round and it ultimately helps me win the set, this is going to come full circle in this tournament. If you check out the final game of the tournament, Jimmy is going to win this with that attitude of persistence. He's going to hack away at my shins with low soccer over and over and over, and that no mix-up, very high level mentality actually is going to win him this tournament. Proud of the comeback in this particular round, and winning the set. I'd never won a set of Jimmy before. You can see a lot of his brilliant qualities just in a very short time span of this one round that we took a look at. Next, I'm asked to elaborate on strengths or tech that Jimmy utilized in the matches that made things challenging. It is very hard to narrow this down to any one thing. Jimmy is such a complete player. He has so many great qualities. What makes it the most challenging is that you cannot represent options more than once. His speed of adaptation is just too fast. He's so mindful, noticing every little detail, and he's also able to transform himself very quickly. So what I mean by this is when I identify a strategy that's very effective in a particular game, by the time we get to the next game, I've got the strategy in mind. Okay, this is what won the last game. You instantly feel the diminishing effectiveness of that strategy. I had a very dominant game 3, particularly the last round of game 3. My aggression was just working so well. And then we come into game 4 and I'm just getting killed. So you instantly see Jimmy change the pace. He's much more aggressive without necessarily making himself vulnerable. He's gonna get an orbital heal right away, and I'm just getting counter hit like crazy. What makes him so intimidating as a player is he changes his timing in this sort of stealthy way where you're just getting counter hit like crazy and you don't know why, you don't know what he's changed, but he's just changed something within himself. He's gonna be heavy aggression throughout game 4. Lots of forward 4s, back 1s, 3+4s, and I would say that kind of summarizes Jimmy's biggest strengths and his effectiveness, is that you cannot clearly define how he is improving himself so drastically game to game. You can't even really explain it in words. It's just this nebulous change to his timing where you're just gonna eat everything. It's actually kind of cool to watch. Few players where I can appreciate watching my ass get beat, but yeah, the dude's pretty good. So this question, if I needed to adjust my playstyle, and if so, is there any particular strategy that I focused on? We'll answer this in the context of going into game 5, because that's where we left off. The way I lost that game is really just being outplayed, responding to aggression improperly, getting outspaced, getting kept out and counter hit a lot. When you're losing in these very fundamental ways, there's no like gimmicks to adapt to. There's no like really obvious sequences that they're running on you. In those instances, I feel it's important to rely on your subconscious. There's nothing you can really tell yourself, like, you need to not get outplayed anymore. Like, no kidding. I rely on just the quiet mind to try to figure out what's happening. there are other things that I try to do in the situation as well. Be very bold with reads, hard reads, and also to try to get weird. I think getting weird is a very important quality to have as a player, because it can be good at disrupting this rhythm and this flow state that your opponent can get into. My version of doing this is going to be to start off game 5, Statue of Liberty treatment, baby. Just stand there. Just stand there. Just get weird, you know? It doesn't, I take hits, but at least I disrupted the pace in some way, even if it was very subtle. And also, in terms of this be bold strategy, I have a very bold low parry at the end of game 1. It's going to give me control. A little bit of insight into how to counter strategies that don't, at the surface, appear to really have any clear counters. Final thoughts after winning the match. What's going through your head after that final KO? So I think you can see me at the end just take a sigh of relief. It was clearly very hard fought, so I was proud of the victory, but I'm hardly celebratory. I'm not feeling like, yeah, I did it. I know what's about to happen. I know he's coming back, that I'm gonna have to try to beat this guy again, and that it's gonna be way harder than it was just now. I'm forward thinking in this moment about what's to come, and that is grand finals. So I think in terms of personality, Jimmy and I are both pretty quiet, reserved people. But when we do have the chance to talk with each other, there's also another aspect of our personalities, and that's that we both really like to talk about Tekken. As far as the competitive side of things, it gets pretty brutal. You know, the decision making in game, it's just full on psychological warfare. You know, competitive sides kicked into overdrive. We just really want to beat each other. I think that just adds to the respect that we really give it our all when we fight each other, and it's meaningful when we get victories over each other. Like, I mean, I guess he's always getting the victories over me, but it's meaningful experience when we play competitively because it's a challenge.